very intense line of thunderstorms moving into parts of Pope County, Livingston County, down towards Marshall County in western Kentucky. Let's kind of pan down to where the strongest part of the storm is. This is really going to intensify right here, I think. This area right here, Mayfield, Kentucky, Murray, Kentucky, over towards Fairdealing. Very high likelihood of strong gusty winds moving into your area, and you could see the gust front is trailing off. So let's take a look at this storm in particular, because I'm just a little concerned that maybe there's some hail with it as well. The overall trend, at least, and I hope this trend continues, my friends, this line of storms appears to be a little weaker right now. But with that said, a lot of that could have to do with the fact that it is pouring rain right over the Paducah radar site, and so that's going to cause the reflectivity to suffer just a bit. The type of information we get will be a little less than what you would expect when there's extremely heavy rainfall right over the radar site, and that's what we're seeing right now. Another strong storm developing near Dexter, where we saw so much issues earlier. We'll kind of zoom into this. Look at all the flash flood warnings. Very heavy rainfall, very rapid runoff. Something that we definitely do not need is any more rain, and that is what we got, unfortunately. But north of Highway 60, State Highway F, we may be seeing a little bit of hail, and radar is indicating the possibility of some hail with that storm north or northwest of Dexter. Not seeing any signs of any really strong winds moving in there. That's some great news, because I'm sure there is some debris around the Dexter area that could get blown around with the storms that we just saw that moved through there and did the damage. So severe thunderstorm warnings pretty much out until 7:15, and they'll probably be extended for our other counties of western Kentucky. Lots of rainfall across our northern counties. This activity is nothing to really be concerned with, other than a lot of lightning and some heavier downpours. But this is not looking good, and I know Brian was talking about the fact that this may form into a line and sink south. It probably will, but what I'm concerned with is our western counties are going to get hit with these isolated supercells that are developing, and those are the kind of storms that would produce tornadoes. So I'm going to zoom into a couple of these storms. I know they're not quite in our area yet, but we have a couple of storms that are headed towards the heartland again, and this could be round 3 of rough weather. And you can see there's a little bit of a hook with this storm, and that's going to be, there's Bunker. We've been saying Bunker pretty much all afternoon. Lesterville, Centerville. We've got to watch this storm closely. It is moving your way. And as we take a look at the hail indication, there's some hail. Strong inflow noted right there. That's probably bugs and birds that are being blown into the storm. And I bet there's a little rotation. Yeah, there is rotation. Look at that.
There sure is.
Look at that. That is, ooh. All right, Reynolds County, just giving you a heads up. This is headed your way. This is a rotating supercell thunderstorm that if it holds together, we could see another tornado warning issued shortly, as this storm is getting pretty intense on radar. It's got the classic signs of a hook. Hopefully it's slightly elevated because of all the rain-cooled air behind this, but these storms are they just continue to build one after another, and we're just seeing lots of strong to severe storms. But the main story is this strong gust front, this Bo Echo that's been moving through. This is why we've been on the air for, well, I don't know, it seems like going on about 3 hours now tracking this storm. I know we were tracking it when it was back here on the air, so we've been going on at least 3 hours as it's going across the heartland right now. And the strongest storm right now moving out of Fulton and Hickman County into southern Graves County. So we'll stop the motion and we'll zoom into where the strongest activity is right now. And as we do that, let me see, let's get that plus sign, and we'll zoom into the strongest storm right now that is moving in towards the Graves County area. And we watch right here is where we worry about the possibility of a brief spin up. So I want to kind of scope that storm. It just moved off to the northeast because of how fast the storms are moving. And we'll take a look at the gust front in there to see if there's nothing but very strong gusty winds. And I don't see any rotation, but you see this fuchsia color right here. That's getting close to 70. It's probably closer to 60-mile-per-hour winds. And I think we did have a report of 65-mile-per-hour winds from the Mesonet with this storm system right here. So that's verifying. So we're having 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds. It appears as though the trend, at least with this Bo Echo, is that the winds have died down just a bit. we're not seeing the 80 and 90 mile per hour winds. We're not getting quite as many reports of damage. Did you get any damage reports, Brian, because it's moving through Paducah right now? This is a very highly populated area. We would know if we're getting some strong gusty winds in Paducah.
Right. It's fairly quiet right now, but we do know that just a few miles to the northwest of Paducah in Olin, Illinois, there were 80-mile-per-hour winds observed there near Olin. A lot of trees, branches down there, very large trees up to 10 inches in diameter. Large trees that were taken down by these thunderstorms. Also, a lot of reports of power outages. Again, we have over 25,000 power outages just from Ameren. Just from Ameren, over 25,000 power outages. Look what's going on to our west. It's not a good sign. As Grant was saying, a couple of these thunderstorms show signs of rotation. But here's what's going on here. Without getting too technical, we have a cold pool here in southern Illinois. Some of the outflow from these thunderstorms, you notice how there's no severe thunderstorms there for parts of southern Illinois. Very stable air, though rain is moving through. Where we are seeing a lot of instability, there's an axis of instability now setting up along southeast Missouri, and this is where our effective shear that we're seeing right now. So two of the necessary ingredients that we need for severe weather: CAPE, instability, and shear, and wind shear. All that is setting up along a gradient right here, an axis right here. So these thunderstorms are going to continue to move into a favorable environment here in southeast Missouri, and they're actually continuing. They're continuing to look at a watch there for northern Arkansas. So we're going to continue to track these thunderstorms off to our west. While we know that these thunderstorms have a history of widespread damage, from tree damage to power lines down. Shingles have been taken off of houses. We know that there are trees that have fallen onto some cars. We're going to continue to track that very closely. We're watching the thunderstorms. We're watching the National Weather Service. We're communicating with these folks here. And we thank all of you at home for safely reporting your severe weather reports there, Grant.
Thanks, Brian. Again, we have a very volatile situation setting up. This first Bow Echo right now appears in my mind as though it is decreasing in intensity just a bit. I know we did have 80-mile-per-hour winds with it about 20 minutes ago, but it's not holding its structure together like it did. The heavy rain is now off of the radar site, so it shouldn't be suffering from that. And as we take a look at the overall wind structure, yes, we're still seeing the strong winds. That's an indication of some very strong winds. We'll zoom into that in northern Livingston County, about to move into Crittenden County. Let me zoom into that just a bit. That is an interesting feature on the northern end. Very strong gusty winds possible, but the overall amount of very strong winds being indicated by radar seems to be decreasing just a bit. But as we look at this winds right here, that is northern Livingston County. So that's hurricane force winds that are moving towards Marion, Kentucky. So we still have very strong damaging winds possible from Salem over towards Marion, towards Cave-in Rock. They could see some very damaging winds. That will knock your power out, folks. That will definitely knock your power out. That'll snap trees. That'll snap power lines. That's the gust front that we've been tracking for quite some time. Now, as we pan this line down to the south, we'll track it as it heads towards New Liberty and towards Calvert City. We'll take a look at the wind speeds in here, and we've got very strong winds. This fuchsia color is about 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, but I see some more orange coloring in here as we head towards Calvert City. Boy, look at that pencil-thin line right there. Just a textbook gust front. So it's a little weaker than it was, but not for our wind gusts. So I guess there are still some areas where this line is going to be doing some significant damage. Look at that, Brian. 115 mile per hour winds. Now, again, I picked the brightest pixel, and that's probably a loft. But I tell you, right along Interstate 24, that's going from McCracken County into Marshall County, I think. That is, let me back things out to make sure I get those counties right. That is eastern McCracken County. Yeah, it's moving into to Marshall County. Winds up to 80 miles per hour likely still. So we're seeing very strong gusty winds still with this Bow Echo, even though it's not looking quite as widespread. There are little pockets where we're still seeing very strong gusty winds as we investigate this line. Let's zoom in around the Mayfield area. You are under a